People were going nuts this week, getting into fights, jumping over counters to get their hands on thermos flasks. This Australian guy lost 20 grand buying fake shoes off a 17-year-old. We've got another colorway of the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low, another colorway of the second Travis Scott signature shoe. We've got our first looks at Salehe's next Croc shoe, as well as another Action Bronson New Balance. All of these stories and plenty more in this week's Sneaker Wrap. Hello everybody, it is me, Jordan Young, back with another certified hood classic. So it was a pretty dry week for sneaker releases this week, so let's just get straight into the news, and I want to start off with these Stanley cups. No doubt you guys have seen these videos go viral this week of people turning up to malls early, stampeding through Target, and even fighting with each other to get their hands on these cups. Now you might be sat there thinking, what is the big deal with these cups? Well, this is the reason why they've become so popular. See, they've gained a lot of notoriety through water talk, which is a trend on TikTok where people mix up these elaborate drinks using waters and powders and syrups. These videos go viral, and the cup of choice for these popular influencers is, surprise surprise, the Stanley cup. Plus, Stanley have hired the marketing genius from Crocs, Terrence Riley, to help market these cups. Add to that this viral video where the Stanley cup was pulled out of this burnt out car completely intact, still with the ice fresh in it, and you have a pretty successful recipe. Virality of these videos, as well as the savvy marketing, as well as the limited availability, has prompted these scenes that we see here. Check this video out where these resellers are turning up to the mall at like 5 a.m. This guy right here is being called out by people further back in the line who suspect him of cutting in line, causing people to get pretty anxious and uppity. And check this video out where this guy actually jumps over the counter to get his hands on the Stanleys. These are the actions of a desperate man, a man whose marriage, it would seem, is depending on his ability to secure one of these cups. As he tries to flee with the booty, he's confronted with another man who looks like he's been tasked by his wife in a similar fashion, and is subsequently tackled to the ground where he lies in a supine fashion, presumably thinking, how did I get here? I'm here on my back facing charges over a flask. Crazy times, I know, but it just evidences the age-old maxim that people will always find an excuse to line up for something. The next story comes to us from Australia, and if any of you guys are watching from Australia, let me know down below. So this estate agent goes ahead and spends $30,000 on 7 pairs of shoes, 4 pairs of which are the Nike Jordan Dior's. He forks over the cash to the 17-year-old and then subsequently goes on to learn that these shoes are a little bit foo-foo. He gets in contact with the seller, but the seller airs him. He seeks him out, and according to the story, even chases the kid through a shopping mall. But he eventually gets in touch with the seller's dad, even dragging the dad down to a sneaker resale store to prove to him that the shoes that he bought from his son are indeed fake. Now, none of this resulted in a refund. He ended up taking this son to court, where the judge would ultimately throw the case out, citing the reseller's age as the reason why he wasn't eligible to get a refund. Now, of course, the buyer in this situation should have been way more careful. It's an expensive lesson to learn. Okay, let's talk about some new sneakers. I want to start off with all of the Travis Scott news that we've had this week. First and foremost, the Jordan 1 Low Canary Yellow. First pictures of these, as always, look like they'd been taken with a potato, but we've had some follow-up images which show these in a much better light, and these have definitely divided people. I've seen a lot of people out there saying that they think these suck and these could signify the imminent downfall of the Jordan 1 Low Travis Scott, but me personally, I think they're pretty nice. I mean, they're definitely not the nicest of the bunch, but I think they're pretty clean. They feature this bright yellow upper mixed with white. You have this really popping contrast through the blue swoosh. They have a gum sole. They're being called the Elkins colorway, named after Travis Scott's high school, and they're set to release in the summertime. I haven't seen any details on sizing yet. You guys remember the rumors around this shoe was that this was going to be a woman's only release, extended sizing, so make sure you guys are following me to stay updated with release info. We also saw Travis Scott giving away another pair of shoes off of his own feet at a concert where he jumped down in amongst the crowd and got this young man to rap some bars from his famous song off Utopia, Lost Forever. And I've got to say, this young man is giving it the heat. He is giving it the emotion. Just check out the eye contact and the enthusiasm. He definitely earned himself these creps. Now, after Travis gave him the shoes, he jumped back on stage, was performing, and then pleaded with them to not sell them.
Don't sell my shoes, man. They're my favorite pair of shoes, so don't sell them.
The shoes themselves were shared by this young man later on social media, where we can see them in all their glory, and they're pretty clean. These have been called the Sharkadons or something like that. I actually think this silhouette is nicer than the other silhouette from Travis Scott's signature line. I like the spirit on midsole, I like the look, I like the fact it doesn't actually have a reverse swoosh. No release date info on this particular signature. I would imagine these would be coming out later on in the year after we see the first Jumpman Jack cut the check or whatever. What do you guys think of these? We've also had some more updated fresh looks of the Travis One Low Black Olive coming later on this year. And the more images I see of these, the more I like these. Big fan of the OG mocha blocking, big fan of the olive colorway. I think these and the military blue 4s are the big two must cops for me so far this year. What do you guys think? More Air Jordan 11s announced for the holiday season. These are the Bred Velvets. And these are unsurprisingly going to be a women's release. I've seen a lot of ladies out there with rave reviews for these, and I've seen a lot of dudes out there kind of complain that this is a disrespect to the playoff 11. But at this point, with the momentum around the whole Reimagine series, taking OG colorways and then reimagining them, I think this is bang on trend and message for Jordan Brand. What do you guys think? Nike continue with the subtle ripping of the Ye IP with this MX-esque inspired color blocking on their calm slides. Now, this is kind of funny in a way because the calm slide was a pretty solid nod to the design language of Ye. They could have just left it there. They could have left that whole question open as to whether or not they just directly copied them. But with this addition, it kind of removes all question. Like, this is not too subtle a ripoff. What do you guys think of these? Hello Kitty Crocs are coming out on Jan the 17th. Can't believe I'm talking about this. But we live in a time where meme themed or kids themed Crocs are huge. I don't even need to tell you about the success of the Lightning McQueens or the Cars Crocs or the Shrek's Crocs. And this collaboration is set to come out in a full size run and feature the trademark Hello Kitty colors. I don't know, they're still not really my cup of tea. I haven't quite come around to the kids themed or meme themed Crocs just yet. I like the Salehe stuff, and we are going to talk about Salehe's Croc shoe in a moment, but yeah, I'm still not quite sold on these. What about you guys? So speaking of Salehe and his new Croc shoe, we've had some more very teasing images. You guys remember last year we saw some images of the outsole of this shoe from underneath, giving us little to no indication of what the shoe actually looks like. Now we've seen a picture of the upper, and these things are pretty freaky. These look kind of AI generated. I mean, the silhouette of the upper is almost giving me like Feezy, you know those fake Yeezy vibes? Or like Zara shoes, something like that. These are being called the Junipers and are set to come out this spring, summer. They have an interior mesh-based booty, but of course the big talking point, the big feature is this translucent rubber outsole, trademark fingerprint traction pattern, distinctly Salehe. And even though we can't see the full sneaker in its entirety or see it on foot, I do think these do look pretty cool. Could these be the next big smash hit for Crocs? Could these sell out? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. We have more sneakers from Bad Bunny to look forward to this year. First and foremost, we have another campus in this deep brown colorway. These are set to drop soon and feature this deep brown suede. I'm a big fan of these. You guys know how highly I rate the Bad Bunny campus, the white colorway, the mossy green colorway from last year. I think both of those shoes are fire. I think these look pretty awesome. I mean, look, at this point, the brown, the chocolate colorway with the pink is a bit of a no-brainer at the moment, but I think on this particular silhouette, they really go hard. We also have another pair of Bad Bunny CL responses to look forward to as well. No firm date on these, but this is an all-white colorway, and again, I'm a big fan of the CL response Bad Bunny. I do think Bad Bunny, to be fair, is low-key the best collaborator Adidas have on roster at the moment. Don't at me on that. I think his stuff is the best they've got right now. A little bit of Jordan 1 high news. We have a high OG satin shadow coming in the holiday season. The satin variations draw inspiration from the flight jackets Michael Jordan famously wore in the early Nike print ads. Whilst Jordan 1 hype is kind of in the toilet at the moment, and with prices never higher, I can almost certainly see these bricking and hitting the outlets. I do think these Jordan 1 highs are really nice though. These are the denims. These are dropping in the summer. They feature a multitude of denim twill served up in this Chicago-like color blocking, summit whites at the midfoot, the toe, and tongue. And And the classic washed blue denims hit the overlays really nicely. Gum outsole, even though these will inevitably sit. I do think this is one of the nicer Jordan 1 highs we've had in a while. What do you guys think of these? We saw Devin Booker play in a shattered backboard colorway of his dbook 1, which I think look pretty nice. This is another shoe that is sort of dividing sneaker opinion out there. I think because it's a basketball sneaker that looks like it could make a pretty successful transition from the court to the streets to the skate parks or whatever. People are kind of holding it to a different standard. I actually think the dbook 1 is low-key one of the best signatures out there at the moment. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the latest James Harden basketball shoe, which looks a little bit like a Nerf ball or some kind of dog toy. And this particular aesthetic represents this sort of futuristic, highly technical take on the modern basketball shoe for the modern player. Even though I don't particularly like the look of the shoe myself, it is good to see that Adidas are giving Harden his own sort of design language and identity through his own signature shoes. Ishod wear is getting another SB, the SB ishod 2, surprise, surprise. And as you can see in the pictures, it's a homage to all things Air Max. Kind of has the Air Max vibe in the silhouettes. Obviously you've got the air bubble there as well, lacing a la the 95s and stuff. It's a pretty clean signature shoe. What do you guys think of this? We saw some pics of the sample jarritos featuring the white swoosh, and I don't know about you guys, but I am really happy we got the jarritos that we did, because these look pretty average to me. And whilst I'm sure these samples would fetch thousands and thousands in the resale market, I'm really happy we got what we got. We've had our first look at another Action Bronson New Balance on the 1906R model. This colorway is being called the Scorpius, featuring some bright lime green action on the heel cup, some yellow and orange action on the upper. You can't really make out too much of what's going on from this single picture we have from the rear, but from this angle they look pretty cool, and I'm sure would go quite complementarily with the last Action Bronson New Balance we spoke about last week, which was inspired by women's aerobics. Does seem like Action Bronson is bringing a lot of heat with New Balance, and so it'll be interesting to see how these are received. But if it's anything like the 990 V6s from last year, you can guarantee these are gonna be popular. Bape have unveiled the Gradient Skatesta collection. Now, the first thing I'm sure you guys are going to be thinking is, how can these guys be committed to bringing these guys out when they are still in the midst of an ongoing legal battle with Nike? Now, Bape have obviously challenged that lawsuit. They want to say that Nike is unclear about its trademarks in respect of this particular model, and they must be confident, because here they are bringing out this collection, which is 4 different colorways in this gradient theme that look pretty clean, pretty cool, but I think the biggest story is the fact that they are actually releasing these. We've had some official looks at the upcoming Air Jordan 3 Craft Ivory. A lot of people out there are gassing these up, and they have some pretty cool things going for them. I'll definitely admit it's a very clean, very understated colorway. I feel like this is probably one of those shoes that won't get a lot of love in the beginning, and then once people start to see these on foot and start seeing people wear these, particularly this upcoming summer, I feel like people will probably regret not picking these up. But I gotta admit, I have a lot of pairs of 3s. A lot of them I'm not wearing enough. And so given these are retailing for 210 bucks, I'm not so sure I'll pull the trigger, but they are tempting though. Let me know what you guys think. We've seen some on foots of the Trophy Room 1 lows. There's also a few sneaky early reviews out there. I think my boy Elliot has dropped an early review on the Trophy Rooms if you guys wanted to go and check that out. But these are looking pretty nice, at least from a color blocking point of view. The only thing about the shoe that I'm not that keen on is the satin touch on the red in the front of the shoe. I'm not a big fan of how that looks. I'm not a big fan of how it seems to wear. It kind of cheapens them a little bit, at least in my opinion. I think if these were just a nice solid leather instead, they'd be way more appealing. But that feature isn't enough to put me off at least going for them, but it might be enough to prevent me from paying resale. What do you guys think? And that is it for this week's sneaker wrap. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch the video. Do me a favor and like the video before you take off. If you guys want to support me on here, be sure to have a look into my subscriptions. If you want my PayPal details, just give me a message over on IG. No, I'm only joking. Well, I say that, but and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care for now, and peace.